Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 281 of the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. This is your host, Jackson Mummy. So glad to have you with us on this Thanksgiving week as this episode is being released the day before Thanksgiving. Hope it's a great, restful time and a happy time with family for all of you. I know that for those of you who are preparing and studying for the February 2020 bar exam, it's a little stressful to be going through the holidays and trying to study for the bar exam. I want to encourage you to keep some balance over these next few days. Enjoy the time with family, set aside some time for study. It's usually an opportunity to get a little bit of extra work done, but definitely don't bring your bar review books to the Thanksgiving table. That really irritates the people who did the cooking. So there you go. My words of wisdom and advice from having one too many books thrown back at me over the years. So there you go. Well, we're glad that you're with us on this Thanksgiving week. We have now wrapped up the July 2019 bar exam results season last week with California results coming out. And in today's episode, we've got an interview that we just completed with a successful California bar taker. This was her third try on the exam, the first time with us. She used photo reading, she used our writing style, she went all in, and she passed the exam. She beat the odds. There was a 26% pass rate for repeat bar takers in California. And Rachelle overwhelmed those odds. She beat them, and it's a great story of what she did. I think you're going to really enjoy this interview. It's uplifting and encouraging, and certainly, I think, appropriate for a week of Thanksgiving. Before we jump into the interview with Rachelle, I want to let you know that this episode is being brought to you by our free training webinar. It's called Do Something Different, Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. In this training webinar, we're going to show you the steps that successful bar takers like Rachelle follow in order to pass their bar exams. We'll walk you through 4 distinct stages of study, and you'll get to hear from students in their own words about what they did and why it worked and how they were able to move from failing the exam to passing the bar exam. Now, if you've taken a bar exam anywhere in the country and been unsuccessful, I really want to encourage you to attend this webinar. It's available on demand, so you can watch it on the day and time that works best for you, and it's completely free. You do need to register, and to do that, you can go to the show notes here on the video page or in the audio episodes of the podcast, or by going to this URL. It's celebrationbarreview.com/webinar. And we invite you to check that out, get in and watch it. Literally thousands of people have been through this training, and it has changed lives. And I encourage you, if you're taking the bar exam in 2020, to make sure that you check out this free training webinar. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that you can watch our video podcasts or you can listen to them. If you'd like to watch the interview today, you can go to celebrationbarreview.com/281. That's the episode number. And if you prefer to listen to the podcast, you can do that on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on virtually any place that podcasts are syndicated. So just check that out. And we've got a full set of show notes on both the audio and video sets of these podcasts. In addition to that, we also have an opportunity for you to schedule a free conference with me to talk about your bar studies and to talk about prior results if you've taken the exam before. So make sure that you check that out and sign up for a free conference with me. Be glad to do that and to talk to you about your studies and again about what you have to do in order to make the next bar exam your last bar exam. Now, I want to jump into this interview with Rachelle. I think that regardless of whether you took the Cal Bar or not, her comments and wisdom are really profound. This is someone who had been in a big box bar review, had done what they told her to do, had studied hard, worked hard, and not been successful. And she decided to do something different. And in doing that, she embraced photo reading, she embraced a different writing style, she participated in our group coaching calls, and she did personal coaching with me. to go through her written work and her studies. And as you'll hear, there was a profound change in her approach and her belief and her view, and it led her, even in the face of all of the disruption and chaos around the California bar exam in July, it led her in with a real sense of calm and expectation, and it was rewarded with a passing score. So I think it's a story that really going to inspire and motivate a lot of us. I know I was certainly encouraged to hear her words, and I hope you will be too. So I don't want you to wait any longer. Let's go ahead and jump into our interview with a successful California bar taker from July 2019. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers. And today we have a very rare species of bar taker, a passing California bar student, Rachelle Barr. How are you?
Good. Thanks for talking with me today. I'm so excited to share my journey.
Yeah, this is fun. You and I did a lot of conversations. You were in our coaching course. And I think it's safe to say that today will be considerably less fraught and emotional and frustrating, probably for you, than some of those phone calls. Is that safe?
Yes, definitely. There were some rough calls in there, but you got me through.
Yeah. It's nice to see you smile. We had a few of those phone calls where I thought you were going to jump through the screen and probably try and throttle me. So that's good stuff. Well, share with everybody your good news, if you would, about the Cal Bar.
I got good results. I finally passed. I was so nervous to check this time around. I checked immediately the first time. I had waited to check the second time, and the third time, it's like, okay, it hurts both ways. And so I just checked, and I was so fortunate that my hard work paid off, and I passed.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, the pass rate for repeat bar takers in California this time was 26%. So you beat the odds in a huge way. And I want to be able to share that story and let people kind of hear what you did. This was the first time you studied with us for the Cal Bar. But let's go back to your first try and what you did and how you were preparing.
So the first time I went to school out in the Midwest, and I used Themis, and it was reasonably priced. It wasn't the most expensive, but they said they had a really good pass rate for California. And so that's what I did. I got through as much of the program as they said I needed to pass, but I missed the mark. I was still short a few points, and so it didn't work. So the second time around, I did their free. I was able to take Themis again, but I tried to use like a different general tutoring company to help me with my essays, because that's where I'd fallen short. And again, I slightly missed the mark, this time flip-flopping. But also, I think the second time around, it was a lot of self-doubt. I think I had convinced myself that I wasn't going to pass by the end of the first day of essays. So I wasn't mentally prepared to go into that exam and pass it. So I feel like that really hindered me as well, in addition to trying to hodgepodge my own program that worked. And so the third time around, I was like, I have to do something different. I have to do something that's gonna help me pass. And I happened to come across your program, and I can honestly say it's one of the best things that's ever happened. And now I'm always talking about you guys to the current 3Ls that I work with, but also to any of my friends that I know that are looking to take it or didn't pass in an NBE state from back east, because I do believe in the program so much.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. And it was really exciting. It was a great opportunity to work with you. You also used photo reading as you were studying, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about that first, and then we'll kind of swing back to the other pieces. Talk about what photo reading was like for you when you got started and why you decided to do it, and just kind of give people a sense of that.
So I was kind of frustrated. I felt like I was spending all this time reading and I wasn't comprehending as much. I was a little frustrated. And so you suggested photo reading, and I'm pretty sure my first response was, I don't have time to learn something else.
I think that's correct.
And you said, just try it. And I did, and it was a game changer. I felt like I was able to review my outlines and everything so much faster, and I was understanding it at a higher level than when I was spending hours trying to read this document front to back. It was very weird at first because I was like, how is this gonna work? And I just put myself in the zone, relaxed, and it made a big difference. And not only on my outlines and essays, but really on my MVEs too, to be able to anticipate what's coming on a subconscious level. So it was some hoodoo voodoo at the beginning, but I think it actually worked.
Yeah, I think it did. It did. And I could see your confidence growing as you got into it. One of the great things I loved was that you were always very honest about your feelings about all of these steps, but also very willing to get past the fear and the skepticism that I think we all carry, and just say, okay, I'm willing to try it. I mean, I don't know, is it going to work? Not going to work, but I'm willing to try. And I thought the fact that you were open to trying was a big part of the success that you were having. You know, one of the things that we did so differently was to change your writing style from what you had done previously. And I was going back before our call today and looking at my notes of those calls. And it was, I have this, the one word that comes through every single time you've already used, and that was frustrated. It was very frustrating to you to have to change everything up, and yet you just put your head down and kept working. Can you talk a little bit about what that felt like from your side?
Yeah, so it was very, very frustrating for me because I felt like I'd been working towards this goal for so many months and I just kept missing it. And now you were telling me to kind of toss that formula that's been embedded in my brain for years. But at the same time, it's like what I'm doing isn't working. And I needed to trust you to be successful. And I knew that you could be successful because of all your other success stories. So while I was a little scared, I just had to trust you. And now I find that writing formula it works well for everyday writing. And I really do think that was a big difference in my confidence and my ability to pass this time around. I went in, I knew exactly what to write and how to write it. And in the previous two exams, I didn't. I was kind of trying to put it together, even though they had tried to embed this other formula in my brain. It just didn't work. And so, the FLA it's a game changer. It really is. And I felt so good going into my exam, even though when I first started doing it, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. How am I supposed to learn this? But then I did. And so it was a rough start, but I was for it.
Yeah. And my notes, when I finished looking at my notes, I saw that near the end of the last couple of calls we had, you really got it. It started to click for you all the way across. And you had this really great confidence, I thought. And actually, my final note from our last phone call was, she's going to pass. She's got it. And that was not so much a objective view, although I thought objectively you were writing passing work. It was a sense that I had that you had kind of crossed a mental threshold, right? That instead of the exam scaring you or frustrating you or upsetting you, now you had this sort of calm sense of, I can do this, I know how to do it, and it's working, and I'm ready to go do it. And I felt like actually at that point, you were like, let's just go do it. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And I carried that all the way through into the exam, and I could feel it. I felt the difference when I walked in. I knew I was going to pass. And the positive affirmations and all the other things that we worked on, I felt like I could carry that confidence in with me. And I really did believe that I was going to do it, and I did.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch the development as you and I talked and went through the coaching, and you went from, being really physically tight and just, to this more relaxed, more confident, and then ultimately very confident that you had mastered what you needed to do. Now, you put in a lot of work to study for this time, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely. I was working full time while I was doing it, So I was waking up at 5 in the morning and studying before I went to work all day. I was taking my lunch breaks to do coaching calls and question and answer. I was coming immediately home and doing it, but I was also trying to make sure I was eating and sleeping per you guys' recommendation. So I was doing very long days, very full weekends, but I wanted it and I believed in the program. And I believed that I could do it if I stuck to your guys' schedule, and I did it.
Yeah. I think so many people that watch, and particularly California bar takers, get beat down by the numbers, right? And they're so discouraging. How did you keep yourself from falling into that trap of hearing all of the, people never pass in California stuff?
I just had to kind of just put my head down and ignore it. But the small session calls with the other bar takers from across the country, not just California, there may have been one or two on a call, but to be able to speak with other people in other states that don't have those numbers, who are feeling the exact same way I am, and to turn that into some positive energy, and to focus on, what was a good thing that happened this week, and what are your positive affirmations, and picture yourself standing up there swearing because you passed. Those things really helped me to block out the negativity of the numbers. And I can't tell you how many people I've met in California who took the bar and gave up and just stopped taking it. And I tell them about this program because the numbers can really drag you down. But this program brings so much positive energy and light. I think it helps to drown that out.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. What you were talking about are the group coaching calls that we offer to all of our students. And it's really cool to be able to do that because you get students on a group call. They're 10, 12 people with one of our staff folks who are all former bar takers and working with us. And it's wonderful to hear that energy going on and to see what's happening. And it's a supportive group. And I think it does make a big difference. The studying for the bar feels pretty isolating, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like nobody could understand what I was going through. Even, my husband, who's in my house where I'm studying, he just doesn't really understand because it's such an internal mental battle. But then you get on this group and it's like, oh, okay, I feel a little validated because you're feeling the same thing I'm feeling. And that's huge. You don't get that with the other big box reviews. You just don't.
Yeah. So let's talk about your husband for a little bit. What was this process like for him? Obviously you have to give up some family time. There's a lot of sacrifices that are made. And I think people sometimes forget that our families also have to sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt like this time around, he could see that it was working and that it was different. But also because of the way it was structured and the schedule that I was following, I felt like I could take, an afternoon, a Sunday, and hang out with him, or go camping Saturday night, Sunday morning, and then get back into it. I was less stressed this time around. I think if you were to talk to him, he would say that too. So even though I was putting in long days, because I was able to have these group coaching calls and the call with you, I think that I didn't radiate some of that anxiety and stress as much towards him as my anchor. And while he was still there to support me, I think it was different this time around, and definitely better.
Yeah, I thought you kept a really good balance. I knew that you were stressed. I mean, because studying for the bar is stressful. I knew you were working full time and studying. We had some minivan conferences. You hopped in the car and at lunchtime and we talked. And I knew that there was a lot going on, but you seemed to keep a really good balance in your life throughout this entire process. That you weren't obsessed, in the sense of I can't see anything else going on around me. And I thought that was a big advantage for you, that you really took to heart all of those lessons about, eating right and exercising and doing some of the other things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to have that balance, and to have someone like you who's telling me it's okay to sleep. You should go to the gym, take the afternoon off and hang out with your family, I think is important, because I feel like the message to bar takers is often, you just have to put your life on hold. If you just sit in a room and don't talk to anyone and just study and put your head down, you'll be fine. But But I did that. The first 2 times I put my head down and I worked so stinking hard. And then to hear someone say that now, it's like, you don't think that I didn't do that. It just didn't work for me. But to have such a different holistic view of, you're not just this human who can be stuck in a room and be okay. Like, you need to have these other things. It makes a world of difference. And I think it helped my confidence, it helped my relationships, and it helped prepare me to pass this exam.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about actually going in and taking the test. What location did you take the exam in?
I took it in San Diego.
Okay. That's a nice location, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not small either.
No, it's not. It is a huge hotel in a huge ballroom. That was very, very cold. So it was, it was definitely what you would picture in a California exam.
Yeah. And you've been through the exam before. You go in, and of course, there's a lot of drama at the test, always. And how did you keep your focus and balance for the 2 days of the test?
So this time around, I definitely didn't go in early. I just waited. And then I just put like a little earbuds in and just didn't talk to anybody. I went to my seat. I kept my head down. I just did some of my breathing and some of my affirmations, and I was just calm. I listened to the videos before I left the car several times, just to put myself in a really good place and not bite in. And especially this time around, there was a lot of drama. I could hear people talking on the way out to the car. I just put my little earbuds back in, and I'm not listening. I'm not partaking. It doesn't affect me in my ability to pass this exam.
Yeah. And as a photo reader, of course, by getting into that sort of resourceful state, you're actually bringing the non-conscious awareness of the material up to you, so that now you've got a game plan and you're going to be able to get through this. I think it's really a benefit, don't you, to be able to be in the exam in that mindset rather than the drama and the tension and the sort of normal, I guess, what passes for normal these days at the bar.
Exactly. Yes, I completely agree. And just knowing that I was going to go in and focus and that I could zone in to what was important and not buy into another excuse or another reason why I might not be passing, because I knew I was going to pass. And I knew when I sat down and I was photo reading through that booklet that maybe the people around me are like, what the fuck is this? What is she doing? But for me, I didn't care. I was focused on me. I knew that I was just going to photo read it front to back, and I was going to pull all of that forward and use it to pass.
Yeah, yeah. And that does freak out people around you when you're flipping the pages like this, and then you turn the book upside down and backwards and you do it again.
Yeah.
So that's sort of an added benefit, I think, to the whole process. When the test is done in California, of course, it's the last jurisdiction to release their results. So you have a interminably long wait for results. What was that period of time like for you?
So this time it wasn't that bad because I felt so good coming out of that exam. I felt like I did really well on my essays. I wasn't 100% sure because you're just never 100% sure, but I felt good about my essays. I felt really good about my MBEs with my time management and my answers that I selected. So I feel like it wasn't that bad. Like immediately after, of course, you're like, I want to know. But then I kind of forgot about it for a while until like the last week. And then I was definitely back into that. I just want to know. I'm a little worried just because that's kind of how it happens. But I feel like my self-confidence going into it and being able to be consciously aware of where I was going into it for the first time was a big game changer for me. So I had less anxiety about passing because I really felt like I had done everything that I could.
Yeah. I want to circle back for a minute. Obviously, this was a highly controversial administration of the exam. And for those of you who are in our audience who don't know, let me just briefly reset the table. 5 days before the test, the California bar examiners sent an email to 16 law school deans. There are 40-some law school deans in California, but they sent them to 16, telling them the subjects that were going to be on the essay part of the exam. Apparently that was a mistake. They weren't supposed to do that. And for 48 hours, nobody did anything. And then 2 days after the initial release, the examiners sent a very bizarre email to everyone, right? You got a weird email in the middle of the night, essentially, that said, here are the subjects that are going to be on the exam. And it came from somebody that was not affiliated, didn't look like they were affiliated with the Cal Bar. It actually looked like spam, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was what is this? Did someone hack their system?
Right. And it's at night. It's like a Saturday night, and it's right before the bar exam. We're talking now Saturday before the bar exam starting on Tuesday. And it turns out that, in fact, it is a Cal Bar official who's writing under their own email for whatever reason and sending this out. And there's a lot of controversy. And so much so that the bar examiners make a last minute decision and say, if you want to waive off of the exam, we will waive the fees for sitting for the test. A lot of question about did these law school deans share this information with their students? Did people have an advantage who knew for a few days ahead of everyone else? Let's just talk for a minute. What did that whole series of events, what was your reaction to it? How did it impact what you were doing, if at all? What was your response to that?
So for me, it impacted me a little bit, but not too much, because you had a group call with us and you were very honest with each of us about whether or not this would really affect us. And generally, it's not. You guys are preparing. You've been prepared. Instead of taking the full day off the day before the exam, I did do some extra essays in the one subject area I felt like I was the weakest on. So that was kind of a slight change up, but I did it in a way that I wasn't super stressed out, because you had really emphasized you can't really learn anything at the last minute. You just want to be confident. And I just wanted to be a little bit more comfortable. So I did a few more essays, but I felt like I was ready, that I had done everything that I needed to do. And having those group calls with you and with the regular small coaching calls, I don't think it affected me that much. I did hear afterwards it affected a lot of people, and a lot of people decided not to take it. But for me, I tried not to get wrapped up in the drama and not get my anxiety amped.
Right. And so part of my advice to you was go take the exam. You were ready. I didn't want anything to get in your way. There were some people who got so wrapped around the axle, rightfully or wrongfully, but it was such an upsetting, such a one-off, never before kind of situation, that for some people, they really did need to waive off. But I thought that you had done everything right to get yourself in a position to pass. And I didn't want to see you give up that opportunity. And so I was really pleased that you went in and you did it. But obviously there was a lot of drama around this, and there was a lot of drama at the test, a lot of discussion about what went on. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, it's in so many ways. But when you look at the numbers, it's still a 26% pass rate for repeat bar takers. So, it's not like you got any break there. So I think it makes for a remarkable accomplishment. Let's now talk about the day results come out. They come out on a Friday afternoon, late in the year. I mean, it's, we're getting close to Thanksgiving. The only thing that made this better this year is that Thanksgiving was late instead of like right before.
Right.
But tell me what that's like. It's now Friday night. What happens when you go to check results?
I was insanely nervous. I had felt so good going into it, but you just never know. And it's kind of one of those surprise parties about. You just don't know what's going to happen at it. And so I was kind of chicken, and I had my husband check, and I didn't want to look. And he just came over and hugged me, and I was like, I didn't pass. He goes, no, you passed. I'm so proud of you. And then I was so elated. I couldn't believe it. I checked the website 4 times. I was like, are you sure there's not a not in this sentence? So that was so exciting. It was one of those weird things where I couldn't wait to get home to check, but I also didn't want to check and wanted to put it off. It was a very mixed bag of emotions. But then when he hugged me and told me I passed and that he was proud of me, I was just so excited. I was so happy. I couldn't even call or text or anyone. I was just in the moment for such a long time, because I've been working for this so hard for so long. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. We invite our guests on this podcast, as you know, to give a little bit of a yell to say, I have my life back. Do you feel like yelling a little bit? Can I get you to do that?
Absolutely.
All right.
I finally have my life back. I'm
Yay!
so happy.
Yay! I'm so proud of you. What a great story, a great moment. What are your plans now? As a member of the Cal Bar, what do you want to do?
So I want to continue doing innocence work, which is what I'm doing right now. It's what I love. I love helping people that have been wrongfully accused. So I'm hoping that I can continue in that line of work and keep speaking out for those who have kind of been forgotten about. And I think just for a while, just practice. I just want to keep doing what I love and not mix things up too much.
Yeah, that was one of the really cool things when you first contacted us. We saw the work that you were doing and we were like, ooh, wouldn't this be great to get her into the Cal Bar and doing that work? So now it's gonna, that's the goal and what's gonna happen. We are incredibly proud of you, obviously, and so very pleased for you. What advice would you give people? I know that there are lots of folks who get discouraged, particularly about the California bar exam. What advice would you give them if they're watching today and they've not been successful on the test?
First, take this program because it makes a big difference. And second, I would tell them definitely do the calls. Do the calls with you and do the calls with the small group, because it took me from being very insecure and not confident at all in my ability to walking into that exam knowing I was going to pass and walking out feeling like I did. I don't think that I would have got that if it hadn't been for the support of your team and also the other takers. Having an accountability partner, listening to the affirmations, it all helps. But to actually hear someone else vocalize what they're going through and it to be the same thing that you're going through, I think makes all the difference in the world. And we're social creatures. We're not meant to be locked up in a room for 3 months at a time, not talking to anybody else and not being able to express the frustrations we're going through. So use those parts of the program. It makes a difference. It really does.
That's some good wisdom there. Thank you. I hope people take that to heart. Well, I am so pleased. I know that this year Thanksgiving is going to be a whole lot sweeter, isn't it?
Yes, I can't wait to go home and not be like, I gotta try again. Tell myself that I'm finally an attorney. It's going to be great.
Oh, that's great. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing with us, Rachelle, and congratulations. We're super pleased for you. Look forward to hearing great things as you continue to do your work as a member of the California Bar, and just really glad that you could be here to share this story with us today. And so for all of you in the audience, thank you for being with us. We'll be back again soon. And for now, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
That's our episode for this week. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Rachelle. It's really great to see the work that she did and the outcome. And I know that that can happen for you as well. And if you're really thinking about what it takes for you to be successful, I want to invite you to do two things. One is make sure you jump on that free training webinar, do something different, make the next bar exam your last bar exam. You can do that by going to celebrationbarreview.com/webinar. And if you look down in the show notes on the video or audio episodes of today's podcast, you will see a link to schedule an opportunity to chat with me about your studies. I invite you to take advantage of that. It's an opportunity for us to talk about where you are in your process and what you need and what we could do to help you. And we're glad to do that. So please take advantage of that opportunity. And for all of you, from all of us here at Celebration Bar Review, we want to give thanks to you. Thanks for supporting this podcast over many years. We've got thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners, and that just amazes me. And we want to thank you for putting your confidence in us. I want to thank all of our students who share their stories. People like Rachelle. It really means the world to us and to the people that are in our audience, and we're very, very grateful for that. Certainly want to thank all of the people on our team, our editors, our support staff, our coaches, all of the people that work so hard to bring you the work and the material of Celebration Bar Review. We're very grateful for all of that. I think in a world where there's an awful lot of distrust and a lot of cynicism and a lot of anger, It's really refreshing to work with people who care deeply about the students that we have, the customers that we have. We feel like they're family. This last week, we had the opportunity to engage in what we call our photo reading for the bar exam boot camp. We had 20 of our students here for a live 2.5-day session, and it was a great opportunity to just engage and get to know people and hear more about their stories and share the strategies that we take on the bar exam. And I was just so uplifted by that and by the enthusiasm and encouragement that each of those students had, not only for themselves, but for one another. And I would hope that that is the spirit that all of us take into this Thanksgiving season. We have a great deal to be thankful for. We should all be thankful for the fact that we get to take a bar exam, we get to prove how talented and capable and ready we are to be members of the bar. And it's our very great privilege here at Celebration Bar Review to be part of that journey for people like Rachelle and people like you. And so with that, we want to wish you a very wonderful holiday, and we'll be back to you again next week with another, I think, a story you're going to be just really excited to hear about from a successful Georgia bar taker. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you next week along the Extra Mile.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.